everyone. How are you? This is Paula Connor with Elevate Me Hub, and welcome to this Kundalini Yoga practice where today we're going to focus on opening up the hips. So go get some comfy clothes on, maybe pause this video, do a quick warm up. There are two on my YouTube channel so far. One is a 10-minute warm up for the spine, a second one a little bit longer with a couple of extra movements. So maybe pause, warm up, and then come back. And let's practice some hip openers. So the first thing I want to share with you is you'll see on my screen my playlist. This is the Spotify playlist, my Kundalini faves, so that I honor all music rights. Do get yourself a Spotify account because it is really quite wonderful for building a library of your favorite music. And that way, when you practice this video, you can switch up your own music. All right, so we're going to warm up the hips today. And I'm going to show you basically everything that I do every day so that your hips are open, and movements like lotus and monkey pose and maybe even the full reclined thunderbolt pose becomes available for you. Because what I learned in my school in India, you must open the body first. Once you open the physical body, then the mental body, emotional body can open. Because as we start moving the energies in our body, we can release congested emotions. Things can start to come up. I'm not sure if you've ever had an experience in yoga where you have a significant emotional release. But as you know from previous videos, we always tune in first before we begin our practice. So please bring your hands together in Namaste, and we're going to chant the Guru mantra 3 times, which is Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. And this essentially means that you bow down to the energy, the light, the guru, the teacher within you, and you honor that light. And you honor the creator of the universe, whatever word you want to use, source, God, the cosmos, creation, prime creator, whatever you wish to use. So let's tune in together. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Bow your head, open your hands, and place them on your knees. So what I'm sitting in right here is called Sukhasana, which is easy pose. And there are a great number of people that find this position quite uncomfortable. And this is directly connected to the tightness, perhaps, in our knees, in our hips, and in our joints. And we got to open things up. So the first thing I want to show you is Baddha Konasana, which is your butterfly. And this is really the before kind of picture or feeling, because I want you to feel what this feels like. Where is it tight? And what we do here basically is we start just to gently move the knees up and down to loosen things up. And I just want you to tune in and feel what you feel. How do your knees feel? How do your hips feel? Is your back nice and straight? Ensure your breath is comfortable, normal breathing. And we always breathe in and out through the nose in Kundalini Yoga, unless advised otherwise. And as we start to warm up, we can allow the knees to move up and down a little quicker as we strengthen the hips and start to lubricate the joints with synovial fluid. What I have learned is that when you put your body in a position every day it becomes your normal range of motion. And as I had shared in a previous video, okay, now stop the knees for a second and just lean forward. In the beginning, obviously, this is a little tight, and it's an unusual position, right? To be moving forward. Always lead with your chest, and we can just kind of use the elbows just to push those knees down a little bit. But this is more for you to feel what it feels like right now, the before. Because now I want to show you some a movement for hip and knee internal and external rotation. So you're going to sit here. Your knees are fairly far apart. And in the beginning, you're going to need to put hands behind you to support yourself, because what we're doing here is rotating the hip and the knee to the right. And as you can see, my angle is a 90-degree from the heel to the knee to my hip, my hip, knee, heel. So it's a perfect, you can see the shape that this makes. And all we're doing here is moving our hips and our knees in a rotation, external and internal rotation. You want to make sure that your bottom does not move forward. Your bottom stays in the same position, because if it does move forward, then your back is not straight. You want to make sure your back is nice and straight. So you inhale in the center, exhale to the right, inhale in the center, exhale to the left. And as I mentioned in the beginning, you're likely going to need some support. But once you begin to practice, and you're used to doing this for a few minutes every single day, you can do this with your hands behind your head and rotate the whole body, the upper body around as well, maintaining your position with the knees and the hips. And we're here for a little bit more. You want to be doing this for at least 2-3 minutes every day. Okay. And now what we're going to do to continue with the hip openers, I'm just going to move myself a little bit forward here because I have a wall behind me and I don't have a lot of room. So you're going to come to tabletop position, and we're going to work the right side only. My hands are directly underneath my shoulders, and my knees are directly underneath my hips, and my back is straight. It is not arched. It is not curved in any way. So my core is solid. And what you're going to do here is you're going to just lift this leg up. All right. See how my knee and my foot is up here nice and high. And all you're doing here is rotating the hip in circles. The knee leads the way, but it's the hip only that is rotating. And we're just going to do 10 circles. Coming forward, that's 7, 8, 9, 10, and now reverse. Circle back the other way. Nine and 10. Now leave the leg high, the knee high. We're just going to do 10 lifts. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to find this you can feel working in your bottom and your hip, and relax that side. Now we must do that on the other side. So let's work the left hip now. Again, knee circles. That's 2, 3, 4. And 10. And then let's go the other way. 1, 2, 3. 6, 8, 9, 10. Leave the knee nice and high, and just 10 little lifts, working the glutes, strengthening the bottom, and also strengthening the hips. 2 more, and that's 10. Okay, relax. Now, come back into your Baddha Konasana, which is your butterfly, and feel how that feels. Can you feel that difference? Doesn't that feel great? The other exercise that I practice every day for the hips is pigeon. And how we typically begin in pigeon is we come to downward dog, come to a downward facing dog. So bend the knees, inhale up to a downward facing dog. Typically, we lift the right leg up and then bring it forward in your front. Now, the trick here is to make sure that your hips, your pelvis is facing forward, and this left leg, as you can see, the straight one, the knee is perfectly straight. And your hip, or your knee rather, the hip is here. Not quite on a 90. It really depends on your flexibility. But from this position, this is where you would really just hold this position and breathe very comfortably, deeply and slowly for about 2 minutes. You can hold this position for about 2 to 3 minutes, as this is wonderful stretch for opening the hips. Now you can have a pillow, which you could lay on, and I will demonstrate that when we're on the other side. So we'll just let this release here. So tuck the toe under, moving the body forward slightly, moving your little mat. Rejoin me here as I get my pillow. I'm just going to show you a relaxing position you can go in to hold that pose for a few minutes. Again, come to downward dog. You're lifting the opposite leg now. And bring it forward. Again, the hips are perfectly forward. The back leg is straight. The knee is flat on the floor. We're facing forward. And what you can do in this position is get yourself a pillow or a bolster with those hips square to the floor, and you can just relax here in a 2 to 3 minute pose, helping to open those hips. We'll just stay here for about another minute. All of these stretches, all of these movements provide incredible support for your body, for its opening and for its expansion. You can pause the video here and you can stay here for 3 to 4 minutes if you want. 3 minutes is ideal, because this is a very passive, relaxing stretch, especially when things open up. The only difference you'll find is perhaps in the beginning, your leg might not be, or your foot might not be up as far while you're a little tighter, and maybe, you know, you're needing to sort of support yourself here. So that's pigeon. So coming around now to another stretch, which is really important. This is called wide angle forward bend. And I actually did not write down the name in Sanskrit, but it's called Upavista Konasana, which is seated forward bend. And what we do here This is a 4-minute stretch. What you're going to do here, perhaps in the beginning, you can only lean this far. Perhaps in the beginning. The goal, of course, is to have the chest on the floor flat. But in the beginning, perhaps you just have a yoga block that you can use, or maybe even up this high, because we want to make sure that the spine always stays straight. So we hold this position moving forward. We hold this for 1 minute, and we use the breath. We ride the breath with long, slow, deep inhales and exhales as the body relaxes, and just lose yourself. Try not to tighten anything. Often we can take an inhale, ease off the stretch just a little bit, and as we exhale, we can let go deeper into that stretch, bringing the chest to the floor. So we hold that for 1 minute in the center. Inhale to come up. Turn your upper body. Lead with the chest. Do not curl your back this way because it seems like we're stretching more. Lead with the navel, with the chest, and allow yourself just to fold over this left leg. Perhaps in the beginning we're here. It doesn't matter. I started way back there. I was not able to relax this low in the beginning, but I practice this every day. And this particular stretch, and the one I'm going to show you next, will allow you the flexibility so that not only are your hips open and lotus becomes available to you, but you'll find that monkey pose is also available to you. So we just relax here. This is for a minute on this side. Breathing in and exhaling. And a couple more breaths. We're going to inhale to come up. Turn the upper body. And I'm going to move my microphone and my timer this way. Again, leading with the chest as we lean forward and enjoy the stretch on this side. Now we hold this for another minute. Again, in the beginning, you might only be here, and that's perfectly okay, because eventually you will be able to collapse completely on your leg. Just to show you what is possible with a little bit of practice. So relaxing here and just breathing. And bring your hands back and inhale to lift up. And how we finish this is 1 more minute leaning forward. And again, this can be level 1 where we're here. Level 2, perhaps we're here. And then level 3, we've collapsed completely on the floor. Our chest touching the floor. Hands relaxing on the toes. Just breathing. Slowly and deeply, enjoying this stretch. We're here for a few more breaths. And inhale to come back up forward. Now, the other stretch that I would recommend that you also do every day, that I do every day, is along the wall. Now, you might want to pause this video in a moment because we're not going to stay in this position for 5 minutes, but you would hold it for 5 minutes, okay? So let me show you, and then you can pause your video, put your timer on for 5 minutes, and then meet me after the end of that. But basically, all you're going to do is you're going to place your bottom up against the wall, and you're just going to relax your legs on either side And you're just going to hold this here for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you can. 5 minutes minimum every day. And use this time not to check your email, but use this time as a relaxation to go inside and tune into what is happening on the inside of your body. And you'll find that if you do this every day, you will notice in a very, very short period of time how significantly your flexibility has improved. Because those two stretches that I just showed you there make this pose available to you. Now, I did not practice this at all. I didn't practice it at all. I simply did those two stretches, the wide angle stretch and the stretch at the wall, and it makes monkey pose available to you. Okay, I was not practicing this, but the stretching and the hip openers allowed that to happen. The next stretch or hip opener that we're going to do is called fire log pose. And this one is, as all of them, you cannot rush them. Back bends, you cannot rush. You cannot rush stretching. You cannot rush strength work. It all happens naturally with the body. So this is called fire log pose or Agnisthambasana in Sanskrit. And it's like you're going to sit in a cross-legged position. So the front leg is a little bit forward. All right, this is the right leg is a little bit forward, and I'm going to place my left foot on my right knee so that my heel is stacked on top of the knee and my other knee is stacked on top of my left heel. And as you can see here, there's a gap. When I started, it was up here because this is all about the hips. And so you're going to sit in this position. And if you have a stretching strap, obviously you know your body, you know your limits. So after you've been practicing this, perhaps every day for a couple of weeks, is to say, I do 2 minutes on each side. You can either use a little bit of, a very little bit of weight, a very, very gentle press down on this knee that is up. And when you have practiced this, perhaps for a long time, you can start to add a little bit more resistance by using a stretching strap. Again, you must go slow. You must go slow because that closes the gap a little bit. And then we just hold this position. And we hold it for 2 minutes and we just breathe very slowly and deeply. A few more seconds. I honestly, if you can hold it for 2 minutes, that's ideal, but you might find in the beginning, it's too uncomfortable. So do start at your own pace. Start with 30 seconds and then move up to a minute, perhaps, then a minute and a half, and then 2 minutes. So we're going to release this side now. And as we balance everything in yoga, we always have to do the opposite side. So now the left leg is folded and is a little bit in front. And then you bring the outside, the upper foot on top of that knee. So the heel is stacked here, and then you've got your knee on the opposite side. And again, you just put a little bit, go slow, be very careful, listen to your body, a little bit of pressure, not a lot, just a tiny little bit of a stretch in the beginning. And then when you get comfortable at doing this, because you have been practicing this for a number of weeks and you understand how it feels and what your own limitations are, you can add a little bit of a stretching strap just to bring that knee a little bit closer to the foot. Again, this is called fire log pose, Agnisthambasana. And this is quite a challenging asana, very challenging. And this is one that just takes time. maybe practicing every day for a year, perhaps, gets you there. But this does miracles for the hips and for the knees to open things up. So just inhaling and exhaling. We're going to do another breath, and then we're going to release this. So release this and bring your legs forward. You can clear your stretching strap, your assistant there, to the side, and just shake out the knee. Stretching strap can be purchased at Lululemon, or I'm sure other athletic stores might keep it as well. Okay, the next exercise is called Malasana, otherwise known as garland, and it's a squat. So in the beginning, you might find that you have to sit on 2 blocks. So I'm just going to demonstrate that for you first. In the beginning, you might have to start here. This is the position. I know you can hardly see my head as I'm losing it in the camera, but you want to keep your back nice and straight. So in the beginning, as I say, you might need 2, or maybe you only need 1. But eventually, you'll be able to squat down. My feet turn out a little bit, but you can squat down and keep your back pretty straight. You can use your elbows to stretch. And obviously, if you had a weight in front of you, you'd be much more balanced. But we don't really want to use support. We want to use the body if we can. The blocks are ideal to help you with the support. But this is Malasana. This is your squat pose. And this is fantastic as well for helping you open up the hips. And that's Malasana. So now you're going to come back down to a seated position, putting your bottom on the ground. And this is the last exercise I want to show you. And in the beginning, again, because we might be a little bit tight, you know, when we're sitting at an office desk all day, or sitting in a car if we're traveling, if we're driving a lot, it really does play havoc on our digestive system and tighten things up. So what you ideally want to do is you've got one knee bent. So the left knee is bent in front of you. And then the right knee, you're going to bring forward here, and you're kind of cradling it. Very similar to the pigeon position that you were just holding. But here we create Namaste in the middle, and we just hold this position, making sure that the back is nice and straight. And we would hold this for about 2 minutes. So let's just hold this for 1 more minute together. And again, you can close your eyes and ride the breath. Because this position, when I first started, it was way out here. And then over time, it gets to the point where I can kiss my toes, I can kiss my feet, which is super cool because I used to be able to do that when I was a little girl. But practicing this position even makes it available for me to do a selfie and eventually put the knee over the elbow so that we can get to compass, which I will show you another time. So then we do the opposite side. Again, we bring up the left leg and we're just cradling it here. Again, in the beginning, you might find, oh my goodness, that is just crazy. So you're just going to bring it to where you can. Maybe it's just here in the beginning. But eventually, what you're doing is bringing it here. So it's nice and close to the chest. And again, you can kiss your own tootsies. And you would hold this position as it gives you a wonderful stretch in the whole glutes down here and the whole hip area. Keeping the back nice and straight. And that sequence that I just showed you over this last 30 minutes that we sat together or that we were together is what makes Padmasana available to you. Because in the beginning, oh my Lord, this was not possible for me. This is your lotus. And when you practice those, this becomes available. Because in the beginning, I could not do this. This was most uncomfortable. But once the hips open and once the knees open, it becomes part of your natural range of motion. And we can sit in this position, which was never available to me before. So that is all I'm going to show you today. I do hope that you enjoyed those hip openers. That's just a little bit of a flavor of what we do in our Kundalini classes. But if you add this to your practice, whatever exercise routine you have, you will find very, very quickly over time your flexibility increasing, your hips, your knees, and your ankle joints being a little bit more mobile for you. So thank you so much. God bless you. Namaste. And until we see you next time, take care.